Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I'm Mike Hodem, and I'm joined by Jeremy Forbes. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Coming to you on a Weekend United. Supposedly, Olay's back is against the wall, and of course, our players came out and showed some commitment and effort. And
Yep.
Jeremy, does this not seem to be just an annoying pattern of that we just keep going round and round and round?
Yeah, it's quite a conundrum because then it makes me want to truly believe that unlike Mourinho, the players do like Ollie as a manager, but then sometimes do find it difficult to live up to the directions either that he's presenting to them, whether they fully understand them sometimes or whether they fully don't. But I think they like him as a manager, so they don't want to see him get sacked, unlike other managers. But they also still have the inconsistency where they're not willing or able right now to put in the same degree of intensity and effort week in and week out that they do, like you said, when his back is now against the wall and like he encourages them to give me a result so we can keep pushing this along. It's almost like they keep kicking the bucket down the road just a little bit. Couple more weeks. Give me a couple more weeks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Like, there's much written in the media. A lot of it was saying that the players don't respect Olay or his tactics, and some people have said that it looked like they stopped playing for him. But I'm with you. Like, towards Mourinho's end, towards Moyes' end,
Yeah, you
not so
could
much,
definitely tell they
not so
stopped.
much, not so much Van Hall. I just don't think they understood what Van Hall was trying to say to them, but I think they liked him well enough as a manager. But yeah, Moyes and Mourinho, you could see the last half dozen, 10 games that the players just had it. I mean, there was a few players, just think about Mourinho, that were still giving it their best. Like Modic and Mata, I thought were still trying their best, but most of the players had just had it with Mourinho.
Yeah.
And with Ole, I don't see that. No, but this pattern is annoying. They lack consistency, and it's only when they get questioned that they put forth the type of effort like they did at Goodison Park yesterday. It's just baffling to me.
Now, do you think that some of the issue with that could also be because Ollie is still trying to tinker so much with things because he's not 100% sure the directions that he's wanting to go with some players, that the tinkering at times can be a little bit much for them. But then, on the games where they're like, okay, well, I really need it today, and it's less of the tinkering, they come out, they do it. I don't know if that is part of the problem. I view it as potentially part of the problem. I don't know how you would view it.
I would argue that perhaps he doesn't tinker enough. He doesn't change his team
Okay.
enough. As far as the formations go, maybe that he shouldn't be messing around with as much. Go with what his feeling is the best, which I think he thinks is the 4-2-3-1. But the problem with that is, if Greenwood's out like he was again the other day at Everton, I don't think he plays Mata there, and he trusts Mata. He knows Mata will give him the type of effort that is required. I thought yesterday, Mata tends to start on the right. And then, by the 10th minute, he's floating all over the pitch. I thought yesterday that he gave Mata instructions. Okay, you're going to start on the right, and you're going to stay in that half of the pit, that side, that half of the pitch is basically you stay over there. He's trying to get more space for Bruno and Rashford, and he's like, just stay over there, because I thought Mata floated a little bit less and tried to have, and it didn't have as much. Or didn't he didn't make an effort to affect the match as much as he normally does by drifting all over the our front line there. So that seemed like a clear instruction, and I kind of like that because I thought Mata was fine. Like, I didn't think he didn't create anything, but I thought
he didn't hurt us.
So I thought that was good instruction. But yeah, I think, like, he gets a team he picks plays well, And then if it was in a formation that he doesn't necessarily, it's not his favorite, he just sticks with that. And I think he's just got to pick a formation and go with it. And I think it's interesting because I was thinking earlier today, going back to Project Restart when we went on that run of games, playing really well, scoring 3 or more goals, that he pretty much chose what he thought was his best 11. Well, I thought against Everton, he didn't necessarily choose his 11 most talented players or 11 best players. He chose the 11 players who were available, who he trusted the most to put forth the most effort, if that makes any sense.
Yep. No, that makes sense.
So
you're thinking as of right now, that should be what he considers to do continuously, since that's what's going to be helping us. Just do the most effort instead of potentially best players.
Yeah, because I mean, Pogba is one of our most talented players. Based upon talent, he should be in our starting 11. However, he lacks consistency.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like he unbalances the squad.
He does
when he's out there.
Because you get, just like in that game against Everton, you get the Fred and McTominay playing. Okay, yes, their talent level isn't as high, but their energy and their desire and their effort that game was extremely high. They were wanting to do what was right. They were trying to push the team on. And I saw that with them. And I think together they put up a decent game. It wasn't the best game from both of them together, but they put up a really decent game. And then when Pogba came on, I didn't actually see any new shift of gear. Like I didn't see, oh wow, yes, a star has been put on and for somebody that wasn't. So I was just like, you didn't even give us anything more during that game, than if you had started. So, or games that you started. So I was just like, I don't see the sense really in playing him that much anymore at all.
Yeah, there was actually one time that he picked up the ball and he had, it was, I think it was maybe early in stoppage time, before Cavani got the third. He picked up the ball and he could have, he had a clear path to take to the corner, or he could have, just kind of stood there, then, play a pass backwards and try to just keep the ball, which both those options are the most sensible plays when you get into stoppage time, nursing a 1-goal lead. But instead, he decides to take on 3 Everton defenders
and lost the ball.
Yeah. So
no, I got that as well, and I seen that. I'm just like, those are the same types of plays that later on, then you go back and you do a rash challenge, and it affects us in a negative way. That's you cause yourself to be in that situation now because you messed up and you're trying to overcompensate your mess up, and that's usually when it puts us in a worse situation.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think he goes on and he's wanting to score the worldie, and show everyone he's great. No, what you need to do is do exactly what I said. Do what's best for the team. And in that situation, we don't need you to attempt to dribble past 3 Everton players. Of course,
we don't need that. And funny that you say do what's best for the team, because I think that's exactly what Bruno did for the final 3rd goal. Instead of potentially taking it to get his hat trick, which he could have potentially did that and achieved that 3rd goal himself, but that wouldn't have been what's best for the team. That would have been what's best for him.
Yeah, no, I watching that, I thought for sure he was, teeing up to let it go, but of course he teed up Cavani, which was the smarter move.
Standpoint of understanding that this is a new star to our team. We need to encourage him, whether it be through boost of confidence of getting the first goal that he can score for United, which a striker of his talent, if you give him that type of opportunity, he's supposed to do exactly what he did do, which was encouraging. So you can see that his touches right now are still showing degrees or close to degrees of the talent that you would expect from him. Like the first The first touch that he did, that he almost scored that time when he got subbed on for his first ever game, and this touch as well, is kind of helping me become more confident that he still has the type of touch quality that you would expect from a striker of his stature, and that's positive to see.
Yeah, he took that goal well first time, and I think what you're alluding, he just to me he just seems rusty. This is a player who hasn't played a match since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So he just looks rusty. When he's come on, he doesn't look completely up to speed of the game. I don't think it's him transitioning to the Premier League necessarily. I just think it's him not having played a game since March, early March. So and he's yet to start a game for us.
Yeah.
So it might be different when he starts a game and he's not coming on when the game's already had its flow, trying to affect it that way. So that'll be interesting to see going forward. But he did take that goal really well, which is promising for him and us going forward.
Yeah. Because then he does add a new dynamic for us, because he can use his head fairly well if he's still up to the same type of par and quality. He has star touch and control. So then, you do get your situations where you need to play a little bit more direct or long ball. You do have a striker that is able to do that. And then also feel comfortable with switching out to a side if you need another striker that's going to be more prolific right down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
He does feel comfortable with doing that. So, I think you give a couple more games, and against a team towards the bottom of the table, maybe you give him a start and see how, that works out. But as it stands right now, I am actually quite intrigued with how the league is going right now. I think there's a lot of teams that we would expect to be at the top, but because all of the new changeovers of players and things, there's rust there, and it's just making the flow of who's at the top, who's not at the top, a little bit more interesting right now. More than likely, as the season goes on, as it always does, it'll pan out to where the usual suspects will be where they're supposed to be. But right now, I think it's created a little bit of extra interest and kind of intrigue for the league, how it's going right now.
Yeah, well, last year I think about 7-8 games in, Liverpool were already running away with it.
Yeah,
they?
Yep, and they're not this season, and you expect for them to have further stumblings because with Van Dijk being out, yes, they once again seemingly have found a way to just get some points when they need them, but you also don't feel as confident that they're just going to run away with games like you did in the last season.
Yeah, they're defensively they seem more assured in Europe, which I guess is how Jurgen Klopp that's where he got his first trophy with Liverpool. So that's kind of where maybe that's his comfort level if he doesn't have Van Dijk. But Premier League things aren't as structured. They tend to be more fast paced, helter skelter type of deal.
Sometimes,
so
yeah.
that's where you really miss having that classy center back like Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I thought their game today with City was a bit of a damp squib. So.
It was. And I found it quite surprising that De Bruyne missed the penalty. I mean, like you would think that he would naturally put something like that away.
Well, he and all this any City player who has taken up penalties, they've struggled.
Mm.
They were like us before we signed Bruno.
Oh, okay.
Like they don't have a good conversion record, and that includes De Bruyne. But yeah, I mean, it's never good you miss the target. I mean, if you have it saved, so be it. I mean, but it might not be the greatest penalty, but at least get it on target, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But
what were you gonna say?
I wanted to talk about, because the last match of the day was Aston Villa spanking Arsenal, and I'm going to circle back to. I want to talk about Olay a little bit more in a second. But coming out of the match a week ago, where Arsenal beat United, and we sat here and we did not like the effort and overall performance, mainly the effort. of the United players on that game. And I'm finding articles Sunday night, Monday about how great Arteta's tactics are and formation.
They weren't.
Today he made the exact same team, same setup that he had against United, and Aston Villa just blew them away. So I think that reinforces kind of how our players need to show up every game and just put forth the effort. Because I felt like in that Arsenal match, I felt like against Palace, not making any excuses, if they just put forth the effort, they could easily win these games.
Yeah.
And actually, that Arsenal game, if you look at Arteta's tactics, he was actually really poor. And I actually thought Ancelotti's tactics yesterday for Everton were much sounder. It just goes to show that if our team shows up and plays with, effort, intensity, passion, that we can, win on any day.
I firmly believe right now throughout the league, on any given day, if we come out and we play the way that we know we can as a squad with the players that we have, I do have faith that we can beat any team in this league. I wasn't able to say that before, but I can say that now. So it does come back to the same thing that you're saying. Just finding a way with which that we have that same type of passion and intensity like we did when we came from out of the break to in the season. We had it at the end of last season. That's the way we have to have it this season.
And you can add a concentration of those trait lists too, because we didn't have any concentration in Istanbul in the 12th minute.
No concentration
when we're taking a corner, and that's kind of the last thing I want to talk to you about. Olay is where he can maybe improve to get the most out of players, because he was criticized again for that, especially the Demba Ba goal where all the players were at least 25 yards inside the Başakşehir half and let Demba Ba just waltz through on goal. And I'm like, well, that's not really coaching. That's just knowing how the game's supposed to be played and knowing. I mean, Wan-Bissaka is usually on the halfway line for when we take corners, and it just that didn't seem like coaching to me.
Yeah.
But with the fact there's no fans in the crowd, and you see Olay, and he didn't do this yesterday. And yesterday, I want to make 2 points that I saw a different mentality from him. First of all, I believe he spent the whole match actually in the technical area, barking out orders. He's taking a more proactive approach. And secondly, after the match, he was apoplectic about the scheduling, having to come back and play a Saturday lunchtime kickoff after playing in Istanbul on Wednesday night. He was as furious as I've ever seen him. So, with that being said, shouldn't he be with no crowd? There's no noise. Shouldn't he be in the technical area? Not Mike Phelan, not Michael Carrick, not Karen McKenna, and barking out orders, telling everyone where they should be.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think his predecessor did that a lot more than what he's doing. Whether you like him or not, Mourinho was a lot more willing to be down there, and to be giving them direction if he felt like they weren't following the game plan that he had originally set. And I think, like you said, I think sometimes he's just too lackadaisical where he sits back in his chair. Yes, he shows emotion when we've done well or when we haven't, but I think like you said, in a situation like this where you don't have that encouragement from the fans, you don't have that additional kind of intensity that's provided there in a match, that he needs to be there to give the players that extra boost, to also ensure that they're keeping focused on what the goal is to be. Yes, there's professionals and they should be doing that on their own, but we naturally see that through all different sports that the effort of the coach at times when those professionals have forgotten or are just so engrossed in what they're doing in the moment and they forget the little basics can help.
Yeah, and it's about protecting his job, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he should take an active approach, because ultimately what he does on the training ground, we don't see other than little 2-minute promo videos by the club puts on YouTube. Like that doesn't mean anything. It's what happens when we take the pitch at Old Trafford or go to Goodison Park or go to Istanbul. those 90 minutes are what's going to decide his fate. So and you bring up a good point about him, just sitting there and 20 minutes into that Arsenal match, you could tell that we were poor and that there was no effort. And and they show him sitting in a seat, and he's got his legs crossed, hands on his knees, just sitting there.
He's not happy, but he's not, doing anything more than just sitting there.
He's expecting them to turn it around. Well, that's the point. He needs to go to the technical area and start chewing some butts. And Mourinho did that, and maybe he did alienate some players. He alienated Pogba, Martial, and maybe some players he didn't like him and they did quit on him. But if they do like Olay, then he needs to be. If he just takes this soft touch approach, he's going to be out of a job, sooner rather than later. If you're going to be out of a job, pissing people off.
Well, there is always the kind of saying, when people do appreciate you, they will accept tough love from you quicker than they will just somebody they don't appreciate, that in their mind could be giving them tough love, but they already don't appreciate you. So they're not going to view it as tough love. They're just going to view it as tearing you down. So if they do appreciate you, the tough love will be accepted. In the moment, it might not, you'll kick them into the ass, but then they'll still at the end of the game realize that it was tough love and not just tearing them down.
That's very well said. With this constant cycle we're in, he needs to start, give people tough love. And if they spew it as tearing them down, then so be it. But what he's doing now, backing his players, backing the board, even backing Ed Woodward, it's not going to work out. Now, you back the board, you back Ed Woodward because that does help protect your job. Yeah. But at some point, you need to try to light a fire under these players, because if you don't, you're going to lose your job anyway. And if you try to do it and it backfires, then it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
But don't get fired with having, still having some bullets in your gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another interesting point that I do feel plays into it all is this. Maybe he needs to do that more at Old Trafford than he needs to do it at away grounds, because for whatever reason, the team already feels like in the Premier League, they're on a high that they get the feeling from the commentators and from everything leading up to the games that, United does really good away from home. So it encourages their belief. So they don't, get their heads all in the sand, even if they do go behind one goal away from home, because they already believe that they are good enough away from home. But then at home, make that happen. They don't show the same thing because they're feeding into what the media has gave to them. Oh, they're not good at home.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's all the more reason that Arsenal match, he needs to be
down there.
Yeah, he needs to be. I think he likes to be in a seat because he can see the whole pitch a little better and the shape and everything. But the shape tactics to me don't matter if the players aren't putting forth the effort.
Yeah.
So he should be down there. He was down there against Everton. Players seem to respond to that. Especially with the crowd, with there being no crowd noise, especially with in that case, they should be able to hear what he has to say. So,
and as crazy as it sounds, and for as terrible a start as what we've had so far this season, if you really look at it, with this being one game kind of in the whole of most teams, he puts on a good run with the team and the team play with intensity in the next 3 games. Mm-hmm. We could be in pole position to say, yes, we are fighting for Champions League football next season. We could be probably in a 3 or a 4 or 5 spot. As crazy as that sounds, and with how bad we've started, that's still possible. Yeah. And you do that and you have confidence and you start to play and keep up with the teams that are above you, then you can be in that dogfight at the end of the season.
Yeah. Our next 3 games, I believe, are against teams that we should beat. They're not the traditional top 6.
Yeah, that we should be. And that also would help to flip point differences.
Yeah.
So if we beat a team that's slightly ahead of us now, that flips the point differences where we're not playing another team and hoping that they falter. We're playing a team that we can force them to falter.
Yeah, 7 or 8 games into the season, even how badly we've played, no matter what our position is in the table, how many points we have, I still think no matter what, at this point in the year, it's too early to start, rooting against teams to lose.
Yeah,
if you start, like you said, if you go on a run of 4 or 5 games, we'll be back up there in the top 4, or right knocking on the door again. So it's not really, whether or not Olay keeps his job. To whatever decisions made there, I don't think it's necessarily time to panic. Regardless,
we just need to improve like you said, the intensity and consistency, or consistency of intensity, and we'll be just fine.
Yeah, and
now
I think
I'm not sure if I would want to switch too soon a manager, because even if Ollie isn't doing things as he should week in and week out, like you get a new manager in, there's going to be that lag time of, okay, they're now readjusting to what he's supposed to be trying to get them to do. And I think that within itself might have some detriment.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get like that initial bump of performance, like Olay got when he got hired. But long term, with how much is left in the year, you're going to have, like you said, that lag period where the new manager is going to want to get their ideas on board, and our players probably aren't going to understand them. So I'm just kidding. But at this point, I would say that if you're going to sack Olay, you should do it tomorrow, because you have the international break.
You can't keep just waiting. Oh, if he has 2 good games and 1 bad game, he's back on the fence. If he it's not going to work long term for you to just keep doing that. And for you to be like, okay, once he's had 5 bad games in a row, that's when he gets the sack. No, that might be too far down into. And like you said, if the team and he is doing that extra effort right when it's about to get the sack, that's not going to help us long term, because we're going to keep in that cycle.
Yeah. So I feel like something just needs to change with his approach. And I think he just needs, like you said, tough love. He needs to go that route, and it'll either work or it won't.
And either way, that will give us the final kind of, okay, this is where the team is actually at. They're with him or they're not with him.
Yeah. Yep. Agree. But the curtain is now closing on the theater of football. Jeremy, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you as well. I'm glad we had another interesting week of Premier League football. I actually can't wait for the international break to be over again and to see what happens next.
Yeah, I think
it's like it's coming at all the wrong times.
Yeah, as us, living here in America, there's not too much to get excited for most international breaks. So, I'll be counting down the days like you that club football returns. But let us know what you think. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit us up on the comments section, smash the like.
Yeah, please do.
And subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear. And if you're listening to our podcast, then hit us up on Twitter at Theater of Football. For Jeremy, I'm Mike. Have a great week.
Bye.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.